Here's how it really started. Karoline Leavitt took to the stage with forceful conviction. It's about time we have a president in the Oval Office who is putting the world on notice and is putting the American people first, and again, is using the leverage of the United States to negotiate good trade. It started with a smirk, no shouting, no viral rant, just Whoopi Goldberg sitting calmly on national television while Donald Trump unraveled. She didn't have to raise her voice because her words and her silence said it all. So within minutes, the former president was spiraling on Truth Social, ranting, lashing out, and reliving grudges that should have stayed buried. So what did Whoopi actually say that rattled him so badly, and why, this time, does it feel like Trump's not the one in control? This isn't just another celebrity feud, it's about power, truth, and what happens when someone finally stops laughing at the act. The clips are real, the quotes are public, and the silence that followed, that was the loudest moment of all. Stay tuned, because Whoopi is about to say the one thing Donald Trump can't stand to hear. When Donald Trump started talking, Whoopi Goldberg didn't yell, she didn't scream, she just smirked. That smirk hit harder than any insult Trump had ever thrown because it wasn't about rage. It was about recognition. She'd seen this act before. I'd never been a fan of this man, Whoopi said calmly on live television. I don't like how he talks to us, and I don't like how he talks to the nation, and that was just the beginning. 4 years, Trump blurred the line between his TV character and his political persona. But as Whoopi put it, being a showman is one thing, leading a country is another. The audience was quiet, not because they disagreed, but because everyone knew exactly what she meant. She didn't need a punchline, her face said everything. And maybe that's why Trump lost it, because for once, someone called him out without playing his game. No shouting, no theatrics, just facts and a smirk that said, I see you. Trump strutted across the stage, bragging like he just closed the biggest deal in history. These countries are calling us up, kissing my A, he boasted, I'll do anything, sir. Please, don't make a deal. It was classic Trump, all swagger, no specifics. He competed in flinch, she just tilted her head, let him talk, then asked the question. No one in his own camp seemed willing to answer. What plan? Because while Trump was out there spinning a fantasy of groveling world leaders, even his top advisors couldn't explain what the actual strategy was. Sippy didn't need charts or policy briefings, just common sense. She called it what it was, a man playing Monopoly with the real economy, bluffing his way through a trade war while American workers picked up the bill, the punchline. Trump said it was going according to plan, but Whoopi made it painfully clear. If there was a plan, it sure wasn't working for the people watching at home. He stopped being political the moment lives were on the line. Hurricanes were tearing through communities, people were desperate for help, and Trump, instead of offering real relief, was pushing false information live on air. Whoopi didn't let it slide. She looked straight into the camera and said what no press secretary would, do not listen to anything he says, not out of spite, but out of urgency. Because when the President of the United States becomes the source of misinformation during a crisis, it's not just embarrassing, it's dangerous. While Trump painted himself as the savior of storm victims, Whoopi reminded viewers that disaster response isn't a branding opportunity, it's life and death. The facts weren't on his side, so he rewrote them. And Whoopi, she was there, live and unfiltered, to rewrite them back. Because when people are fighting to survive, lies don't just hurt your reputation, they put lives at risk. Trump thought he was landing the final blow. On stage in front of a cheering crowd, he called Whoopi Goldberg disgusting, dumb, and filthy. She said her mouth was so foul that half the audience walked out when she performed, classic deflection, heavy on insult, light on facts. Whoopi didn't fire back with anger, she used receipts live on air. She stared into the camera and asked one question that made the entire room howl. How dumb do you have to be to insult someone you hired? 4 times. Just like that, the air left the room. Because while Trump spun tales about her being unwatchable, Whoopi calmly reminded everyone he kept bringing her back. You don't rehire someone you supposedly can't Stand up unless the real problem isn't them but how they made you look. Her words hit harder than any insult because they exposed the contradiction he couldn't explain, and for once, Trump had no comeback, no tweet, no rant, just silence, and for a man who lives off being the loudest voice in the room, silence said it all. Trump loves to rewrite history, especially when he thinks no one's watching closely. He claimed that back in 2015 or 2016, Whoopi Goldberg called him great, told him he'd make a fantastic president, and gave him a big warm hug on The View. To him, that clip was proof of loyalty, of love, of admiration. But there was one problem. None of it was true. Whoopi rolled the actual footage, and suddenly Trump's version crumbled. The clip wasn't from 2015. It wasn't even close. It was from 2011, 4 years before he ever announced his candidacy. She even pointed out the dime stamp. As for the warm, fuzzy friendship, not quite. Whoopi explained that Barbara Walters had a rule. Be polite to guests. That's it. What Trump mistook for affection was actually basic manners. So when he said they loved me, Whoopi didn't argue. She just hit rewind. And when the truth came out, it wasn't just embarrassing. It was revealing. Because when your whole defense falls apart because someone checked a date stamp, maybe the issue isn't loyalty. Maybe it's banking on no one remembering the real story. Trump loves props. And this time, it was a hug. He told Joe Rogan they all loved me. Whoopi gave me a hug. Joy gave me a hug. Barbara gave me a hug. As if that. A moment on The View sealed some eternal bond. But once again, Whoopi rolled the tape. And that hug. It looked a lot less like friendship. And a lot more like polite television. Sure, she smiled. Sure, she said hello. But Whoopi wasn't handing out loyalty. She was handing out airtime. Just like any host would when a guest walks on stage. She even explained that Barbara Walters insisted they be courteous. No matter who the guest was. And that's all it ever was. Courtesy, not connection. Then came the moment that shattered the illusion. Trump says, "I love you," right there on camera. And Whoopi, she doesn't flinch. Instead, she looks him dead in the eye and calls his birther theory a pile of dog mess. Yeah, real warm and fuzzy, right? So while Trump tried to turn a polite intro into a political endorsement, Whoopi reminded everyone good manners don't equal good memories. Especially when those memories are. So, yeah, maybe Whoopi was filthy. Maybe she was loud. But she was also right. And while Trump's legacy crumbles under the weight of his own contradictions, Whoopi's message only gets louder. This was never about being woke. It was about basic respect. And respect isn't optional. If you found this powerful, hit that subscribe button. Because this isn't just a takedown. It's a wake-up call.